Hello everyone, thank you very much for joining the Michelin King video. Um, so we've got our summer sale on just now. It's 30% off everything on the website, which is quite a nice wee deal. So it's been busy. It's very busy. So what I've done is, just so that we can get a video out and I get some packing done at the same time, I've just picked out some orders that, just a variety of stuff really. So quite a lot of the stuff is here and in the factory, just because we're making waxes and pouring and things like that, just to keep the flow going. So first up, we've got Mark. Shares the same surname as a famous Scottish comedian. Keys went for a litre of Quick Detailer, a litre of Clear, and a litre of Pure. Next up, we've got, shares the same name as another very famous two, actually, in the automotive industry, Cooper, and in the comedian industry, Cooper as well. So there you go. You got famous people left, right, and centre. So Pure 500ml, so that's a paint cleaner. It's a polish that you apply and it deep cleans the paint. It's the best selling product that we've had for probably 17 or 18 years, so still we sell it by the bucket. Next up, we've got De Freitas, and he's went for 2 1 litres of Armour. So Armour is a high temperature spray wheel sealant. The reason that you need high temperature, obviously, is because the brake dust is very hot. So if you use a traditional wax or whatever, the brake dust, although the wheel will be cleaner, will be easier to clean rather than without anything, you really need the right stuff. So it's like anything. If you're, there's a reason that tyres are made from rubber and not porcelain. It's just, you need to have the right thing. So this is Armour, is the high temperature wheel sealant. So it's a very popular item just because it is so specific and niche, I guess. Next up, we've got Alan, and he's went for a few things, so I'll just run through them. He's went for the leather care kit, which includes the Nourish, which is our leather cream. I'll just pick this stuff actually as we go through it. It's the leather cream, which is Nourish. This has got a lovely fragrance to it as well, so nice and fresh. And then he's went for a litre of the leather cleaner. This stuff's fantastic if you've never cleaned your leather. If you've always used a cream, like an all-in-one type of product, try a separate cleaner, because you'll be amazed by what this will remove, just the grime and stuff like that. Don't use it if your car has had any sort of leather touch-up type of thing. This is only for original leather, simply because but the company that's performed the touch-up, again, the other thing I would just do is just try it in an area that people can't see, because some leather touch-ups are really, really good and you can't actually tell until you've started to clean it and you remove the because it's alkaline, so it's a degreaser, so if it's been a wax-based treatment, it will start to lift the colour. So just be careful with it, but it is very good at what it does. Next up, we've got half a litre of Clear. So Clear is our solvent-based glass cleaner, and we keep it solvent simply because it cuts through the grime better than anything else that we've tried, and you don't get the smearing. I use this everywhere. I use it in the house, the car, anything that's glass. This is the boy. Glaze version 2, we're just waiting on some of this coming in, guys, so we are a couple of working days just now to get orders out, because it is very, very busy at the moment. So I do appreciate your patience, but we will be able to you'll have the stuff for the weekend, if you've got plans for detailing. This is one of my favourite waxes, and this is Montgomery. So Montgomery, it's always the same. The wax is in the middle of the luxury range. Well, that's not particularly true. Probably the wax is in the upper middle section, and then the Jordan, the Samaya and such like, they get the most coverage, because I think if people are going to buy a luxury wax, they tend to go for that. But it's kind of like this, they're all different models of Rolls Royce, let's put it that way. They're all exceptionally good. So Ranach is very good. Elegance, lovely wax. Montgomery, fantastic. Okay, Jordan is a step up. Samaya obviously is right at the very top of the range. But again, they're all good. It's just like if you went into a Rolls Royce factory or showroom, they won't have a bad one, so to speak. So yes, they are all very good. I think that's why so many people have such a wide collection of waxes from us, because they all have different functions. Montgomery is a high gloss, which is good for the solid paint, the darker paint. Another wax that I like that's round about that price point, if you're looking, is Rory. So I really like Rory. It's a very wet look wax. It's not as wet. It doesn't give you that same wow finish that Samaya does. There's nothing like Samaya. I've never come across, It's obviously one of the newer waxes, or it is one of the newer waxes that we've produced. What I would say is, when I applied that to the paint, I can't remember the last time, maybe just because I do this and you become a bit numb to really good products, but I can't remember the last time that I parked up and looked back at the car. Samaya, I did it 3 times because I just couldn't believe the finish. So Samaya is, if you are in the market, we get this quite often. People will email and say, look, I want one shot at this, I want the best wax. There isn't anything else I would recommend. Samaya is the best that we offer. It's a specific look, okay, it's a very wet finish. If you're looking for a really glossy finish, then Jordan's a great wax for that as well. So it does really depend on what you're looking for, but you do have options. Now, next up, this is a great way to buy stuff, is the Trio kit. So, Alan, sorry, short-term memory loss there. Alan's went for Guard, Pure, and Cloak, all of which have been really popular, hence why I'm just gathering the labels. I'm going to leave that up there so that I don't have to walk in front of the camera again. There we go. Next up, who have we got? Patrick. So this is going to sunny Southampton, known for ports and the boat show. I've never been, but I would love to go. It's on the list. So Azure version 4, this is the brand new 2025 Azure. It's higher gloss, it's there's a higher wax content in it as well. It's just, in terms of show car wax, this is a crossover version between here's a good analogy. So think of this like the Cayman. So you've got your Boxster, then you've got the Cayman, then you've got your 911. If we're looking at the kind of core Porsche, and someone is going to correct me, I'm sure of it. So this is kind of where this falls in. So you've got, this is like the Cayman of waxes. You've got some of the petroleum-based stuff, but you get some of the natural-based stuff. So a very nice wax indeed. Titan 500ml. Again, there's lots of stuff to pour at the moment. Just we did quite a few orders before we went live. Rosso 200ml. So guys, we have just updated the website over the weekend with lots of new waxes, lots of new stock as well. So Rosso was one of these waxes that just went back into stock. So congratulations on managing to get that. Couple of free gifts in this. So if you spend over £100 just now, you get a free 200ml car wax. It's just picked at random, guys. So it will be something like RPM, prototype, that type of thing. So it's normally around about £30, but pretty good for a freebie. Free 50ml wax if you spend over £50, and then as usual you get your free sample liquid as well. So next up we've got Andrew. Andrew, I know yourself because you order quite often, so thank you very much again. So Andrew, you've come in and you've went for 2 half litres of tyre. You've got your free 50ml wax in there, your free sample liquid, you've got a wax plus, a quick detailer. I'm just going to get the labels. And an endurance. There you go. Okay, that's that one. This one I think will be a present, so just looking at it, we'll skip that. So John, again, Mr. Dent, I recognise your name. MF Wash and an air freshener. MF Wash here. As usual, we're running out of space. I'll just go through these verbally rather than packing them, because it'd be a good idea just to clear this a wee bit. So Jeff, you've went for a litre of pure. Mike Thomas, again, another chap that I know. You've requested, I've got your note here, Mike, so you just want the 3 1 litres of cheddar, which is absolutely fine, I can do that. And you've went for 200ml of cologne. Slight panicked look because I thought it was there, but it's not. It's still out on the shelf in the factory. We made that on Thursday, I think. So most of the waxes that you're buying, they're quite new. So we tend to be making the waxes all the time. We actually just had more jars arrive on Friday, I think it was. So we do. I'm continually making waxes, and I think from your point of view, one of the best things about that is shouldn't be practice at this, but it is practice. It's just keeping your finger on the pulse, and it's one of the ways that I come up with new ideas. I think, so just being active in obviously I make a lot of the waxes. So it's everything, basically every Michelin King wax gets made in-house. So we don't ship anything. I don't necessarily believe there's anything wrong with that. I know that we do get asked quite often, do you make your own waxes? We do. I'm on the boat that I don't really think that matters too much. I think for us it's probably important because the ingredients we use are just not viable for mass production. They're too expensive. The startup costs, even for waxes, the machinery costs and things like that. It's what we do is more akin to the cosmetic industry, so it's very much smaller batches. It's night and day to what you would imagine this type of industry would be. It is very much on the luxury side of things, and I've always said the same thing. We are not. I wouldn't like to go down the route of mass production because the quality would suffer. And anything. Prior to starting Michelin King, I studied in engineering. I was mechanical engineering. And there is nothing that I can think of that has got better with mass production. The only thing you tend to find is the cost, but that doesn't always get reflected onto the RRP. So even if the business is saving money because they're buying materials in larger quantities, but you're then dealing with mass production, you're then dealing with a greater deal of human error, simply because it's conveyor belt stuff and you're not getting the quality that you would be. You're not getting the person that's making the wax standing on a conveyor belt. You're getting somebody that is, they're not on the right wage, basically. I think you're asking too much, especially in this type of, and that's what I always feel, if you're buying something, you look at the luxurious car models, the Rolls Royces and things like that, and yes, they are on part a conveyor system, but the technicians that are assembling them, it's not like, there's that famous quote about Toyota and Rolls Royce. If you were to look at the two factories, you wouldn't even think that Rolls Royce was in the same decade, and I would say that's very similar. Not saying we're Rolls Royce by any means, one can only dream, but in terms of the production and the manufacturing, I try to be extremely careful when we're making the wax. And the thing for us is the end result on the paint. And I know there's a big emphasis on, the perfect pour and blah, blah, blah. That just doesn't exist when you're using fully natural materials, simply because the perfect pour, which we can do, if you want a petroleum-based wax and the perfect pour, we can do that. There are synthetic ingredients that you add to the wax to give you this perfect pour. The downside of it is it's like comparing poly. I don't mean to sound like a snob. I'm not hopefully coming across that way. I just mean in terms of material. It's like comparing polyester to cashmere. Cashmere will have the natural patterns and baubles and all this type of stuff, whereas polyester is, as straight as a die. So again, it is a kind of Rolls Royce hand stitched seats. It's just when there are more humans touching stuff, there's more of a, people call it character. There's more of a character to the product. And again, the same. It's all hand applied labels. There's a lot of touching. And I think that's a big part of Michelin King, is the personable side of the company. And just like that, this morning I've been on WhatsApp with a few customers, with the phone obviously a couple of times. We've got the online chat, so you've got multiple. There's no AI stuff. There's no AI involved. There's no call centres, anything like that. It's all very personable. And I was having an interesting, very, very quick chat with one of the chaps selling internet phones, these sort of VoIP things. That's the phone. And what resonated with me when he said, we don't use AI, we do blah, 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 we just do it the old-fashioned way. We phone customers, we speak to them. And I thought, that's exactly why I'm going to you and not one of the big companies, simply because I can actually speak to someone who is knowledgeable and who's been trained to a level that's fair to them. It happens so often. I'm sure you've had the same thing, where it's a call centre that phones, and in the beginning of the call they seem quite knowledgeable, but a couple of minutes into it you think they're just reading off a script. And here we are, you're paying hundreds of pounds a month, and the service that there's no correlation to what you're paying. Whereas I feel with Michelin King there definitely is a correlation to the okay, we've got waxes at £30, we have waxes that go all the way up to £500-600, but what you're paying for the £500 or £600 wax is simply the ingredients. The ingredients are much more expensive. You've got oils in there that are $90 odd per milliliter, so you can't put that out at £50. It has to be what it is. And thankfully, the wax I'm referring to is within our top 10, and it has been after a few months of its release, just because obviously it has to build up the numbers. But that proves to me that we're hopefully doing something right. And with that big heavy discussion, I'm going to sign off. No, I'm just kidding. But anyway, on to something a wee bit more fun. But it's always, that's the nice thing about the videos. I feel it gives us a bit of a chance to discuss these things learning a wee bit more about the company and how we operate. And it isn't for me, fast. Our thing is, let's do it properly, let's get it right most of the time. I don't get it right all of the time. I only wish I could. But if anything does, if there's something missing, we had a customer this morning, he had a couple of spray heads missing, got us on WhatsApp, and I said, look, really sorry about that, we'll get them out today, which I will. And that's all you can do, It's just going back to the basics again. If there's something missing, finding out where the fault happened and think, right, okay, let's not let that happen again. So again, just a wee bit of honesty. Doesn't people can't crucify you for saying sorry. That's, as long as it's a proper apology, as long as it's an apology, and you mean it, then that's all we can do. So, did we cover these? Yes, we did. Right, next one, we've got Gary. Thank you very much, Gary. So, what have you went for? There's RPM version 4. Funnily enough, you've got nearly the same order as someone that just, because I double checking this, they think I've just finished that order. But no, you've nearly got the same order as someone else. Anyway, so you've spent £107 with us, and for that you've got complimentary 200ml wax, an RPM 200ml, a honey 200ml. I love honey. Both the food and the wax. Don't eat the wax. Well, unless you've got like these the natural honey. I quite like that. Quite difficult to get nowadays. I'm sure Waitrose have it. They seem to have everything that's weird and wonderful that you could buy in the 90s, but you can't. It's all runny honey stuff nowadays. Anyway, just showing my age there. The trio kit, again, this is a great way of stocking up. So you've went for Cloak, Glace, and Wax Plus, which I think is actually out of stock now, looking at the shelves and knowing the stock out there. But we'll have it this week. I'll order it just now. So you will get it for the weekend. Surface 1 litre, which we have out on the factory floor. Surface is a nice product. So it's a quick detailer for your interior. But more than that, it's actually a degreaser. So what it does is it removes all the stuff that you don't even know is there. One of the things that you can use is a white microfiber, like a pad or something. And if you wipe down your dash, you'll be shocked at what this, hopefully. Unless you've got a very clean dashboard. But you'll be shocked at what this pulls off. Even on quite a new car, it seems to just get into, it's like pure for you. Don't use pure inside your car. But it's like pure for the inside of your car. So Surface. So if you're looking for an interior cleaner, that's a quite detailer type product, and you can just keep a wee bottle, and he's went for a litre, but you can obviously decant it if you want. Just make sure it goes into HDPE bottle. So Surface needs to go into an HDPE. Don't put it in a PET or PETE like this type of bottle. Don't put it in there because it'll leak through the bottle and you'll have a nightmare on your hands. Right, so that's us. Let's start packing. And as I said, there's a couple orders here that I'll follow up email-wise, guys. Here's one here. This is for South Korea. That's a great order. Lots of wax. So we've got Prototype 1 up on the shelf there. We've got Trossachs. Trossachs is fantastic. It's a wet look wax. It's under £100. There's nothing that comes close to it in that price point. And even I would say it's difficult up until Lavender. There's nothing really else that kind of competes. So Trossachs definitely one. Passion. That's a very easy to use show car wax. Majesty. This is a rum and raisins, a spiced rum, pirate whiskey. So it's a pirate style car wax basically. It's a kind of run of the mill petroleum based car wax with that type of fragrance. It's of the same style. It's a kind of high gloss RPM type of wax. What I would say, guys, is the waxes are all different. They're all different blends, so it's not the case that, you know, Majesty's just a fragranced version of Prototype or blah blah blah. So they're all different, simply because, as you can see, there are people out here. So this chap has bought 1, 2, 3, 4 Ameliorate 60% T1 good wax, really nice wax, very affordable. Because I don't believe in, I won't go off in one just now. You've had enough listening to me a few minutes ago. I don't believe that the T1 content is what sell, you know. You can buy a kilo of T1 for £20. As the Gen Z say, it's not that big of a deal. Your main thing when you're going into the luxury waxes, T1 is the second cheapest ingredient that we use by a long shot. So T1, the reason that I produced the 50, 60, 70 and 80 is because a lot of our South Korean customers were asking they buy their maybe more market sensitive to the T1 content, but I do take the time in the emails to say, look, T1, whilst it's important to the wax, you couldn't have a car without the tyres or the alloys or the gear stick or the handbrake. So T1 is important, but it's not what makes the wax. It's a lower priced. You can dress it up. You can say, you know, Brazilian T1, virgin grade, blah blah blah. You know, stop. Just, if we are buying a natural product, we don't really want it processed, because the more you process it, the more chemicals you have. And those chemicals are not the things that I want in the natural waxes, because they don't add, this is the big thing, they don't add to the product. T1 does add to the product, but just bear that in mind. But they do make really nice waxes, the 50, 60, 70, 80, what it lets you see. The other thing it does, because we do offer the custom waxes, is it lets people buy at a cheaper price point to try out the different T1s. Nobody has done that yet. All they've done is said, John, what's the difference? As to which I'll say, this is what it is. If you're looking at a 60, it's this, a 70 and 80. It depends on the blend as well. So 60% T1 doesn't mean that there's 40% of other stuff. It means that in the wax content, there's 60% and there's 40% of other waxes. But you don't really know what the oil to wax ratio is, because that's a trade secret. You just have to trust me, which is nice. Oh, there's more wax. Eclipse, 50%. I like this wax. The strange one, the 50% and 80% are by far the flyaway favourites. I like a 60, which is funny. But again, it's a personal thing, you know. Showcar wax, of course. Wouldn't be the summer without a Showcar wax. And then complimentary 200ml and a complimentary 50ml. And then, as I said, the Eclipse 50%. So that's for South Korea. All the stuff that's going international all goes UPS Express. So there aren't any sort of slow standard services that we offer, because if it's only $10 to send it UPS Express, wee bit more expensive to send it to South Korea, but you'll see on the website what that costs. We do offer free shipping over certain spends as well, which is advertised on the website. Just click on postage and you'll get a full list of how much you need to spend to get free postage, which most people do. You know, it's not that much in the UK, and in the US I think it's $100. Which for anyone that's interested in detailing, that's easy to spend. Right, let's get back to some real work. I've skived enough. Right, guys, I hope you all had a nice weekend, and if you're after anything, you know, go onto the website, take a look, and I'll speak to you all later. Bye-bye. Jazz hands.